For Sydney race 7, number 11, Marsden Rock. Let's hope it gets up for all the punters. AFL and 4 matches being played today. It's round 10 of the competition. Match of the day, traditional rivals Collingwood and Melbourne doing battle at VFL Park. Time to check the scores, and it's the Magpies well in front at the moment.
Well, this week, King Wally, as George mentioned earlier, and his rugby league cohorts went south of the Murray on a crusade to plant their state of origin colours deep in the heart of Aussie rules territory.
Some critics called it mission impossible, but a sellout crowd and a fabulous reception from sports mad Melbourne had the rugby league hierarchy wearing ear-to-ear grins.
But what did Melburnians really make of this introduced game? And who better to present a Yarra-side view of the big event than reigning Prince of Melbourne footy, Dermott Brereton.
Yes, there is a difference between Australian rules and rugby league. Last Monday night, Hawthorn's Dermott Brereton got 4 weeks from the AFL tribunal for this indiscretion.
Oh, and down went Lyon, and the book will have to come out for that one.
2 nights later, at Melbourne's Olympic Park, Queensland's Wally Lewis got a cheer from the crowd as his aggro boiled over.
With Farah. It is on. Lewis is involved with Roberts, also Roach. The spark is...
Blues blocker Steve Roach wore a memento of the clash, and New South Wales scored from the resulting penalty to take a lead in the State of Origin encounter.
It gets 2 points. New South Wales...
It was the night the enemy invaded, but Melbourne let the league boys know they were most welcome visitors. And in the crowd was Brereton, who felt the Australian rules lawmakers could have learned a thing or two from the game.
Some of the people making the rules in our game could learn something from it. It's very exciting when you see grown men really allowed to push themselves to the limits and physically come to grips.
The crowd was littered with AFL players, including Dale Waitman, who 8 days earlier captained Victoria to an embarrassing loss against New South Wales in a half-empty SCG.
Melbourne's always been a great place to come and watch things, but Melbourne people come to go and watch anything, where Sydney people are a bit different, and I think you'll always get the Melbourne people to come along to anything that's worthwhile, and they'll support it to the hill. The Aussie rules still rules in Melbourne itself. It's a game that I think has been here for centuries, and I think it'll stay.
The relative toughness of the sports has often been debated, but Essendon coach Kevin Sheedy was left no closer to forming an opinion.
Oh yes, in some quarters most definitely. Particularly the amount of contact, it was a very tough game. But then, you know, to last 120 minutes in running in a VFL top-class game is a lot tougher than perhaps the running or the lack of running they have in this game. So it's a hard one to work out, you know.
But Brereton had no doubts.
I think it's a lot tougher. It's a lot more gruelling. Gruelling in the fact that you know where the blows are going to come from, yet you still approach them. Our game, you don't know where they're going to come from, but they're not as frequent.
The future? Well, the chances of Melbourne fans seeing more top-class rugby league are bright.
Last night, our chairman, Ken Arthurson, indicated that maybe the Australian Rugby League would give consideration to a test match next year, which is a series between New Zealand and Australia. And so if one of those were there, I'm sure that the sporting public of Melbourne would really appreciate it. There's no doubt that we're one of the toughest body contact sports in the world, and people of Melbourne saw it at its best.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really the perfect game of football. There was a lot of slipping and sliding and a lot of drop ball, but still in all, the Melbournians seemed to like it. And so did these two fellas on the front cover of the Australian this week. There we are, Maxie and Lou in tandem out there cheering away. They thought they're at the VFL match.
Well, good. It was a nice game of football. There's no doubt about it. There was some heavy impact stuff. We saw the Maroons, I thought, coughed up the ball a little more often than the Blues, and of course that enabled the Blues to come home. We enjoyed it. I mean, we like to express ourselves. There's nothing like a program roll up in the fist. You can shout, have a bit of chat about the umpire. It was all there. he took a long time to make some decisions. He asked Wally for his thoughts on the game. He said, Ben, what do you think, Ben? And then he said, well, there it is, free kick. And I thought, a lot of pauses, mate.
Geez, I tell you what, Maxie, you've got a real grip on this game. If you're indicative of the rest, we're in a real problem with rugby league. But I got to tell you, I don't think it was the perfect game for to get the Melbourne initiated towards rugby league because, as I said, they slipped over a lot on that surface because, one, I think the sprigs they were wearing on the boots were the wrong type, and two, you're telling me about the surface that had been laid, which wasn't conducive to good grip. And there was a lot of drop ball, stop-start, and I would have loved to have seen a couple of really... there were a couple of good tries, they were intercepts, but I'd love to have seen a few more.
Yeah, well, I think you've got to give credit to the Blues. I think Wally Lewis, he hadn't had a game for 6 weeks. I think that was terrific to come out and cop what he copped after not having played for 6 weeks. Every time he went down, he got a knee in the ear, an elbow, a right little bit of knuckle in the way. But it was him that was going to get the ball to Mal Meninga. They stopped that passage, and of course the Blues won.
Well, now he's copped it this week. He's got a $5,000 fine for a verbal assault on the linesman, which came over very, very loud, actually. It wasn't sort of something you say to your mother.
We haven't got a casino in Melbourne. It was a big gamble.
You know, I don't know about what you think about it, but, you know, saying his piece about the referee, I think is, you know, you can't tell people not to have their say when he's the rugby league captain. He is the Australian rugby league captain also. He was the Queensland captain. I mean, he's entitled to give his view on that, and the more they try to censor it, the more ridiculous it looks.
Well, most teams only allow the captain to have a say. I mean, he is the mouthpiece, and as players, you would expect Wally to stand up for what he thought was crook decision.
Well, I tell you what, he's a bit lighter in the old pocket today, Wal, but they tell me you're the richest player in rugby league, so I guess it's just a dip in the ocean. Earlier, we saw the individual champions in the North American women.
And welcome back to Rose Hill on the wide world of sports. We're coming up to race 7, the Guthrie Pacific Handicap. Second leg of the tab double in Sydney. Kenny Callender likes Marsden Rock, the New Zealander. Let's go to Ken for a tote update.
Okay, Ray, Marsden Rock was, bookies nearly knocked off their stands early, but he's eased a bit as the horses have got on the track. Let's look at the prices on the tote. Number 1, Mill Court, is at 7-2. Number 2, Dusky Sound at 9-1. Stealthy Night at 14-1. Eastern Cove at 9-2, 14-1 It's Lunchtime. Number 6, Our Tour de France, looked an absolute treat, paying $6.30, just over 5-1. Live Wire Lady is favoured on the tote at 3-1 exactly. 80-1 now Chagroon, 60-1 No Bugles. Farris King is scratched. Marsden Park paying 7.80, odds of 6.5-1 at the moment. Might come in a little bit more yet. He's my tip, and Tearaway Lad is scratched. Over to you, Raymond.
Thank you, Ken. Yes, and just a few of them now left to go in, but there was very heavy backing, as Ken pointed out, for Marsden Rock when bookmakers put their prices up. Just waiting now for Chagroon and Dusky Sound to come up. Interesting league score at half-time. Manly giving Cronulla one hell of a shellacking. Now they're in. This is the 7th of the day, second leg of the tab double. Marsden Rock is the inside runner. They're racing. Marsden Rock off the inside, and it's lunched. Oh, there's a fall. Mill Court has come to grief after going 50 metres. Mill Court has come to grief after 50 metres, and Stealthy Night and Marsden Rock joint leaders, with Stealthy Night going to the lead now as they reach the 1600 metre point. Just casting the eye back, the rider's okay off Mill Court. He's standing, he's okay. It's Stealthy Night the leader as they're racing to the back now. Marsden Rock is running second inside Our Tour de France. They're followed after a couple by It's Lunchtime inside Live Wire Lady. Dusky Sound is going up, but it's 4 deep around Eastern Cove. Chagroon second last, and No Bugles brings up the rear. They've got the 1200 metres in their sights now. It's Stealthy Night the pilot by a length on Our Tour de France. Third on the inside is Marsden Rock, followed by Live Wire Lady in the centre with Eastern Cove out wide. Then came It's Lunchtime from Dusky Sound, Chagroon, and No Bugles is last. The field is fairly tight and compact as they go past the 900. Stealthy Night just ambling along in front of Our Tour de France, with Marsden Rock getting a charmed run third on the inside. Out very deep and running fourth is Eastern Cove around another grey Live Wire Lady. Then came Shagroon taking off from the tail of the field. It's lunchtime. Is back on the inside rail, followed by Dusky Sound and No Bugles. Coming up to approach the turn, 600 left to go in the second leg of the double. And Stealthy Knight is the leader. The New Zealander came off the rails at the right time, Marsden Rock, and is poised to challenge on the point of the turn. Eastern Cove comes round the bend, the widest runner there, followed by It's Lunchtime, also off the rails. And No Bugles saved ground by going through on an inside passage. It's Marsden Rock, the leader, but Eastern Cove on the outside and Live Wire Lady have joined it now. Marsden Rock is pulling out plenty. Live Wire Lady, the centre, Eastern Cove out wide, and Dusky Sound. Dusky Sound is coming quickly. Live Wire Lady in front of Dusky Sound and Eastern Cove. Live Wire Lady in front, and Live Wire Lady takes it out. Wins by a length on the line from Dusky Sound. Eastern Cove third, then Marsden Rock. It's Lunchtime, No Bugle, Stealthy Knight, Shagroon, and Our Tour de France was last. Live Wire Lady, beautifully ridden by Malcolm Fitzgerald, has taken out the 7th of the day. The crowd noise behind you is from the crowd as Millcourt completed the course riderless after a harmless tumble for the jockey. Live Wire Lady first on the tote in New South Wales, $3.80, $1.60. It's pretty tight for second and third. Dusky Sound made a lunge coming down the straight, and I thought it might carry it to victory number 2. $3.10 the place for Dusky Sound, and number 4, Eastern Cove, to pay $2.20. There's another shot of the finish. The Greys have it, you might say. Live Wire Lady first, trained by Brian Mayfield Smith, completes a winning double for the stable. So there it is, the 7th from Rose Hill. We've got one to go on the wide world of sports.
Here we go for one more turn.
Sensations during race 7, run at Rose Hill this afternoon. There was a tremendous fall, and we can see it now in slow-mo, and it's Mill Court, number 1, going down. And the good news for all sports, horse and rider, A-OK. All right, let's check now the results and the TAB dividends. The Guthrie's Pacific Welter run over 1,900 metres, and you can see there Live Wire Lady, number 7, first, $3.80 and $1.60. Dusky Sound, number 2, second, $3.10, and Eastern Cove, number 4, was third, paying $2.20. One more race to come, and Kenny Callender has a tip for Sydney race 8. I hope you can get it up. It's number 2, Falling Peak. AFL, and 4 matches being played today, of course. Round 10.
And welcome back to Rose Hill for the final event of the day, and there lies the hope of the Callender household, Falling Peak. The Ken Callender selection for the last. Here he is.
I hope I'm not a falling peak after the race, Rabbits. Give it strength, son. Here we go. Number 1, Brixton Town is scratched. Ran at Newcastle. Did no good there. Falling Peak is at, come in now, $3.70. We'll make that 11 to 4. 14 to 1, Binley Star. Glomat is equal favourite on the tote to pay $3.70 as well. Griffco Lass at 11 to 1. Destiny Boy 100 to 1. Noble Kingdom is a scratching. Shaney's Best 66 to 1. Tendency at 20 to 1. Diocese was left home where he belongs. 9 to 1, Famous Stew, which has got a chance. 10 to 1, Hello King. 25, Lost Goal. 100, Wilt. 12, Tom Rees. 10, Mr. Good Looking. He's got a chance. What a Rascal is scratch. 50, Wayward Habit. 330 to 1, Shining Image. I got them in. I need Falling Peak. Here's Ray.
All set for the final event of the day. He caught them as one. Wayward Habit exploded out. Together with Falling Peak, they're 2 of the leaders on settling down, together with Shaney's Best up there. So too is Binley Star, and they're followed driving along the fence by Griffco Lass. Glomat is in a tight bunch of horses racing up front with Tendency amongst them as well. And they're followed further back by Tomerish, much closer today. Going around them is Famous Do, and Lost Gold is up there prominently positioned. Well back is Mr. Good Looking. Hello King is up in front of those horses. Destiny Boy and Shining Image, the last 2. They've got about 900 left to go in the final of the day. Shaney's Best the outside, Falling Peak the fence, and they're clear. Tendency is next. There's one racing out very deep on the track. I believe it to be Hello King. They're followed by Wayward Habit. Glowmat is nestled away and getting a beautiful run. They're followed by Wilt, running about 7th on the inside as Lost Gold goes up in a hurry. Bentley Star is further back, and they're followed by Grifco Lass. Tomarish is pulled to the extreme outside. Then Mr. Good Looking, Destiny Boy and Shining Image on the turn in the lucky last of the day, and Falling Peak is the leader. Hello King is the danger on the outside, clear of Tendency. On the outside, Famous Do, and then Wayward Habit, and further back is Glowmat and Tomarish having a bumping duel. It's Falling Peak the leader as they come to the 200. Hello King is trying hard, clear of Famous Do, and then Tendency. Falling Peak in front. It wanted to hang in, but it's still in front of Hello King and Famous Do. Falling Peak is getting tired. Famous Do is grabbing it. Falling Peak, Famous Do. The inside, I think, is one Falling Peak. From Famous Do, third Hello King, then Tendency, Glowmat, Mr. Good Looking. They're followed by Bentley Star and Wilt. Further back, Destiny Boy, Tomarish, Lost Gold, Wayward Habit, and then Shining Image together last in company with Shaney's Best and Grifco Lass. It's another tight one in the final event of the day, but they are much closer together than earlier, and Falling Peak on the inside looks to stave off the challenge, the determined challenge of Famous Do. Falling Peak, number 2, ridden by Sean Campton for Mine, has lasted in a driving finish to pay $3.80 and $1.80. Famous Do, number 11. Famous Do, number 11, an $11 chance for the win and $3.10 the place. And Hello King has most definitely run third, number 12, returning $2.80. I think Falling Peak will get this. If you've backed the favourite, you've backed the Ken Callender selection. I think we may have been saved from the debtor's wing of Long Bay. Falling Peak for Mine narrowly. That takes it away for Ken Callender and myself, Ray Warren, signing off from Rose Hill. There's more of Wide World of Sports coming your way in just a moment.
And the New South Wales TAB dividends for Sydney Race 8 at Rose Hill, the Skydome Lighting Superfecta, run over 1,500 metres. The correct numbers 2, 11 and 12. Falling Peak, as Ray Warren called it, $3.80 and $1.80. Famous Do, 3.10 was second, and Hello King was third, $2.80. Driving finish. All right, AFL into the final quarter now. The 4 matches being played this afternoon. It's round 10 of the competition at VFL Park. The match of the day has Collingwood playing Melbourne, and it's a good game, and the Magpies in front. The other games at the MCG, it's the Tigers and the Blues, and Richmond playing very well and leading. At Princes Park, Fitzroy and Hawthorn are playing a very tight game. It's 3 points of difference, and Fitzroy in front of the Hawks. And at Moorabbin, it's the Saints and the Bears, and it's all the Saints. 20-20, 140, and 9-8-62 in their progressive scores, of course. Rugby Union full time, and France has begun its tour of Australia on a successful note, beating New South Wales this afternoon at Sydney's Concord Oval. The French ran in 2 tries to 1 to beat the Blues by 19 points to 12. Max?
Yes, one win doesn't make